Ever built a wobbly IKEA shelf, sat back, and thought, wow, this is a masterpiece? Even if one screw is missing and the whole thing leans slightly to the left, you still feel proud. That strange pride has a name: the IKEA effect. It's a psychological quirk where we value things more simply because we put effort into creating them. Today, we're going to unpack why building something with your own two hands, no matter how wonky, tricks your brain into loving it. If you enjoy learning these little hacks of human behavior, hit like and subscribe before your attention wanders back to assembling that half-finished nightstand. So what is the IKEA effect? The IKEA effect is a cognitive bias where people place disproportionately high value on things they partially created themselves. The name comes from, you guessed it, IKEA furniture, where customers assemble their own purchases. Studies show people are willing to pay more for furniture they built than identical pre-assembled furniture. The act of labor adds perceived worth. This isn't limited to furniture. Psychologists Michael Norton, Daniel Machon, and Dan Ariely studied the effect in experiments with origami. Participants who folded simple origami animals valued their creations far more than outsiders did. To the makers, the crumpled paper crane was practically priceless. To observers, it looked like something a toddler made. The mere effort of building turned junk into treasure. The bias works because effort creates ownership. Your brain confuses the sweat equity you put in with objective value. Even mistakes or imperfections become part of the charm because they represent your investment. It's why handmade gifts feel more meaningful, why home-cooked meals taste better, and why DIY projects often feel better than store-bought equivalents. The IKEA effect explains why we sometimes cling to flawed creations. That lopsided cake you baked may look like a disaster, but it feels like an accomplishment because you made it. The same principle applies to bigger life projects, like writing a book, building a business, or even raising kids. When you've poured time and effort into something, your brain automatically elevates it in value. So the IKEA effect is more than just quirky pride over flat-pack furniture. It's a window into how effort warps perception, making us treasure what we build far beyond its actual market worth. So, why does this happen to everyone? The IKEA effect happens to everyone because it taps into fundamental psychology. Human beings are wired to assign value to effort. For our ancestors, labor was tied directly to survival. Building a shelter, hunting a meal, or making tools required hard work, and the result of that work was vital. Our brains still carry that wiring. Effort equals importance. Modern experiments show this clearly. In one study, participants asked to build Lego sets reported more attachment and higher willingness to pay for their creations compared to pre-built ones. Even when the tasks were small or imperfectly done, the same pattern emerged. The harder the work, the more value attached. Why? Effort creates identity. When you build something, it becomes an extension of yourself. You see your choices, your sweat, your patience embedded in the object. It's no longer just a chair or a cookie. It's your chair, your cookie. That personal stake tricks your brain into overvaluing it. This also explains why people often resist letting go of DIY projects or things they built, even when others see them as low quality. A parent treasures their child's crayon drawing like it's a masterpiece. A cook feels proud of a slightly burned casserole because it reflects their labor. The effort binds the creator to the creation in a way no outsider can fully understand. The IKEA effect also connects to our need for competence. When you successfully assemble furniture, or even just finish a puzzle, you get a hit of accomplishment. That pride further inflates the object's value. The harder the task, the bigger the satisfaction, and the greater the overvaluation. This is why the IKEA effect is universal. It's not about furniture. It's about how humans are wired to see effort as proof of worth. Plus, look at everyday examples. The IKEA effect shows up in everyday life far beyond flat-pack shelves. Think about cooking. Why does a sandwich you make at home sometimes taste better than one from a deli? Objectively, it might not be. But because you assembled it, your brain assigns it extra value. The taste of effort is real, even if the bread is stale. Or consider hobbies. A knitter proudly wears a slightly crooked scarf because it's theirs. A gardener beams at tomatoes that are smaller and bumpier than store-bought ones because they grew them. The pride isn't in perfection, it's in participation. Effort turns ordinary things into personal treasures. It also explains why handmade gifts often feel more meaningful than expensive store-bought ones. A hand-drawn card or a DIY project carries emotional weight because effort was invested. That labor translates into perceived value, even if the end product isn't flawless. Even in workplaces, the IKEA effect shows up. People often resist changes to projects they worked on, even when outsiders suggest improvements. The reason? Their effort created attachment. This bias can sometimes backfire, leading to overconfidence and flawed ideas. But it also drives motivation. People care more when they build something themselves. Another modern twist: video games. Players spend hours grinding to level up characters or earn cosmetic items. The digital rewards might be meaningless outside the game, but inside, they feel priceless. That sense of value comes from effort invested. From crafts to cooking, from parenting to projects, the IKEA effect is everywhere. It's why people love their own creations more than identical ones made by others. Effort adds emotional glue, binding you to the outcome and making it shine brighter in your eyes than anyone else's. So, how do we outsmart the IKEA effect? The IKEA effect isn't always bad. It gives us pride, motivation, and attachment to our work. But it can also blind us to flaws. Recognizing when this bias is at play helps us use it wisely. One way to outsmart it is by getting outside feedback. When you build or create something, ask for honest opinions. Others can see quality more objectively. Their input balances your inflated view and helps refine the product. Another strategy is to separate effort from outcome. Remind yourself that just because you worked hard doesn't automatically mean the result is great. Hard work builds skill and resilience, but it doesn't guarantee excellence. This mindset helps you grow without clinging too tightly to imperfect results. It's also important to recognize when pride turns into stubbornness. The IKEA effect can make us resistant to change, even when improvements are obvious. Being aware of the bias lets you loosen your grip and accept constructive criticism without feeling personally attacked. At the same time, you can harness the effect positively. Want to increase your attachment to a project, hobby, or relationship? Put in effort, cook together, build something, or invest time. The labor you pour in will naturally deepen your connection. The real trick is balance. Value the pride that comes from effort, but don't let it cloud judgment. Celebrate the crooked shelf, but also admit when it's time to buy a sturdier one. Appreciate the handmade gift, but don't dismiss the store-bought one as meaningless. By recognizing the IKEA effect, you can laugh at its quirks, harness its motivation, and avoid its traps. Effort makes us love things more, but wisdom helps us love them wisely. So next time you admire that slightly uneven bookshelf, know it's not just furniture, it's psychology. The IKEA effect explains why effort makes things feel more valuable, even when they're not perfect. If you enjoyed this episode, hit subscribe before you wander off to build something new. And don't worry, no tools required for this one.